Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome to the Backlogs. Hope you're doing well. After a long time away, I think it's finally time we revisit the lands of Drangleic. It's been a hot minute. And what better way to introduce ourselves than by trying out a weapon type I've never used before. That's right, I've never used a Scythe in Dark Souls 2, mainly due to them being so overpowered in Dark Souls 1. I just always want to play the game at a slower pace, you know? But today's the day. Time to stop fearing the Reaper and unshackle every boss and NPC we come across from this mortal coil. Today, we're going to find out. Can you beat Dark Souls 2 with only Reapers? Alright, let's get this party started. The main problem with this run, and the reason it took me so long to get around to it, is that Reapers are a bit hard to come by in the early game. And what is Death without her signature weapon, I ask you? So, after choosing a fun look for myself and picking the Swordsman class, I zip through the things betwixt, race through Majula, collecting all the usual bits like some loose Titanite and Estus shards, then make my way to the Victor's Stone. Why? Well, remember when I said that getting a Scythe is a bit difficult in the early game? Yeah, no, I wasn't kidding around. We've got some bad times ahead of us. And those bad times start at Hyde's Tower of Flame. The first problem of the run may be acquiring a weapon, but the second problem is that all of the Reapers have heavy stat requirements to even use. So rather than push that problem off until later, I figured we might as well show off my usual grinding point for these kind of runs. Just get this knight to start walking up the ramp, roll past him with relative ease, and watch as 400 souls gets added to your bank account. I don't know what it is about this particular patch of ground, but the knights just don't really know what to do with it. And you can pretty reliably make them fall to their deaths by rinsing and repeating this process. And don't worry, because we've joined the company of champions, enemies no longer have despawn limits, so you can do this as many times as you like. And after collecting a reasonable amount of levels, it's time to push forward. The Dragon Rider is the only boss in the way of our first Reaper, so I invited him to a light swim. He was a bit hesitant at first, but he warmed up to the idea eventually. And while Gravity technically isn't a Reaper, don't worry, we'll fight this boss again later in Drangleic Castle. I talk to Licia and exhaust her dialogue, use all of my souls to get 14 strength and 18 dexterity, with a few levels into endurance for posterity, then go back to Licia, who has now moved to the room just before Hyde's Tower of Flame. Did you just use a key to move the doorway and pretend it was a miracle? You and I are gonna have words later. But not yet, because we still need to sprint through the Huntsman's Copse to get our first weapon. Behold, the Full Moon Sickle, the only Reaper available in the early game. And with the help of these poison moths that hide in the trees, we just need to lure this artificial undead around the forest, then wait for it to die so we can loot its body. Any second now. Any second now. He's not gonna get poisoned, is he? Well, dang it, now what the hell do we do? This is literally the only Reaper we can get, and it's not like I can just lure it off a cliff. Kinda hard to get my prize if it's at the bottom of the abyss. There is a small fall in the middle of this area though. Maybe if we lure it off the... Well, I mean, at least we know it does damage now. Unfortunately though, that seems to only apply to me. The artificial undead doesn't seem to have taken any damage at all from the fall. Oh, cool, super cool, very exciting news. I explored the entire area hoping to find something I could use to kill the enemy, but there's nothing. Not a single thing. All of that effort, wasted. Wasted! One does not waste the Firebomb Academy's efforts and avoid being licked by the flames. Do you know who I am? I am the headmaster of this academy and I will have my... And so, after several resets and a multitude of explosives, we finally got one. A Full Moon Sickle. Flame for the Fire Goddess. Fuel for the Charcoal Throne. Now granted, we could have gone out of our way to summon two friendly NPCs in the area, Bashful Ray and Kraton the Wanderer, and let them duke it out with the enemies until the weapon dropped. But if you think I'm capable of that kind of forward thinking, you need to take me off that pedestal you've got me on before I fall and hurt myself. I quickly leave my covenant, since adding more difficulty to this run is not my idea of a good time, then check out my prize. Kinda looks like an oversized one-handed scythe, like the kind they use for farming. Not exactly the kind of thing that'll invoke fear in my enemies, but that's okay. I'll teach them to fear it all the same. Kia! Huh, decent damage I guess, but this moveset leaves a lot to be desired. Look at this, what is this weapon range? Not only that, but the damage is all over the place. The hitboxes too.
Curses upon you, enough of this.
My guy, we've only just started the run. If you've had enough already, you might as well quit now.
You won't get me.
Now, don't fight it. Death comes for everyone in the end. Even if this version of death is a bit clumsier than I'd like. Okay, what? That damage was 270, but that damage was just 70. And now it's doing 192. Honestly, what the hell is this weapon? Oh, sorry Marlon. Got distracted by my own problems. Rest easy, friend. Your passing gifts have not gone unnoticed. So, now that we have our armor of choice for what is likely to be the majority of the run, let's talk about those damage numbers. The Reapers in Dark Souls 2 have a thing called sweet spots. Actually, a few weapons in the game do. But with the Reapers, it's especially pronounced, with some players reporting over 11 different damage ranges. And you know what? After this challenge run, I believe it. Now, I haven't done any kind of in-depth analysis, but I did try to attack from multiple ranges. And it seems like no matter how close or how far away I attacked, I kept getting inconsistent damage. Combine that with the wacky moveset this Scythe has, and it's just unpredictable at the best of times. And with enemies always moving around, and the moveset of the Scythe pushing me back and forth, I think we're just gonna have to accept that this is what the run is going to look like. Which sucks, because my least favorite thing about games is inconsistent damage. There's no worse feeling than attacking an enemy, expecting them to fall dead, and watching as you low roll your hit, and get killed instead. Y'all remember early Terraria? God, I miss early Terraria. Anywho, on to our next NPC, Kale. Our man here is obsessed with maps, but fails to realize that you can't take anything with you at the end.
Shame on you. You should have told me before. Here, take this. A key to the mansion.
Huh, interesting. Usually people beg and scream when death comes for them. Glad to find someone who's willing to embrace it. Any regrets I can take off your mind? That's fair. It's hard to watch a project we put our heart and soul into go unfinished before our time is complete. But sometimes you just have to learn to let go. I used the key to the mansion that I got from Kale to collect a few items, namely some free Titanite up on the second floor and the Estus Flash shard guarded by Tony in the basement. Then I upgrade my Reaper to +3, bringing my damage to 182, which is great. Or it would be, if this stupid weapon would actually do that damage with every swing. God, this thing sucks. But complaining never got anyone anywhere. So, rather than keep doing that, let's push forward. I find and equip the Chloranthy Ring, which boosts my stamina regeneration, then find our next NPC. Hey there, Chief. Don't mind me, just doing a quick measurement. Well, how about that? We got a fighter. So much for you being mild-mannered. By the by, one of the main benefits that Reapers boast in Dark Souls 2 is that they can attack around shields. Except there's two problems with that. The first is that Reapers are incredibly slow, so good luck getting a hit in against most opponents. And the second problem is that you have to get the Reaper's hitbox around the shield in the first place for it to work. And I've already said my piece about the Reaper's hitboxes. Just like the Reaper's damage, when it works. But I just can't seem to get it to work consistently. In the end, I was able to wait out Pate until he overextended himself, but it was a bit closer than I would have liked. We need to find a better Reaper, and preferably soon. But before we can go hunting for a new weapon, we might as well clear out a few bosses with this one, since I already took the time to upgrade it. So good news, bad news. The good news is that the damage looks pretty solid. The bad news is that it looks pretty solid about 50% of the time. Combine that with the slow attack speed, and yeah, good times ahead. It's such a shame. The damage is ridiculous when it works, but combined with the variable damage and the attack speed, and I can see why most players never seem to gravitate towards this weapon type. But that was against a boss with no armor. Let's see if we can get the same results on one that is coated head to toe in metal plating. Yep, it's the same here too. Sometimes it's 98 damage, other times it's 238. That's an incredibly wide range. But ranges or not, slow and steady damage will get the job done eventually. And with that, both the last giant and the pursuer are dead and gone. Now we could put a few more NPCs to rest. I mean, the Firekeeper's even offering to do half the job for us. But a few of them still have a job to do, so the Firekeeper's time is not quite yet. You, however, you've served your purpose.
Have you come unhinged?
My brother in souls, I know you're tired. Tired in your bones and tired in your soul. I'm simply offering you rest. There it is. Moving on, let's clear out Hyde's Tower of Flame. Considering this weapon's move speed and damage, I have to remove all the enemies around the map before heading to Ornstein, because Gwyn knows that there's no way in hell I can deal with more than one enemy at a time with this unwieldy piece of iron. And after finally clearing the map and removing the wyvern guarding the bridge, which took far too long, it's time to face off against the old Dragon Slayer. Not much to see here. It wasn't a completely smooth fight, but I think that's from me being rusty more than anything else. The price you pay when you haven't played a Souls game in a few months, I suppose. I release Ornstein's soul from its shackles so that it can manifest again in Dark Souls 3, then move on to our next NPC in need of freedom. Hello, Targray.
This is no place for one such as you. Be gone. You are not needed.
Au contraire, my friend. You appear to be in need of guidance. And while I may not look familiar, I promise you that death goes by many names. I know it's scary, but I'm here to make that crossing easier. Come now, give me your hand. May you find peace. But not all crossings are peaceful. Some NPCs have rotten souls, and seem to know exactly what awaits them on the other side, which means they fight tooth and nail in an attempt to fend off death, if only for a bit longer. Surprisingly, Licia is actually pretty difficult. She's got a huge health bar and can heal herself with a single cast. She also casts Wrath of the Gods on repeat, which does a hefty amount of damage if you get hit. With as long as this fight took, I began to get concerned that I might have to come back when I had a better weapon. But then, an epiphany. Even Reapers have a move that doesn't worry about hitboxes. The Backstab. Done properly, you can even chain it together into another Backstab, letting you really build up the damage. Combine this with the sudden realization that I can actually dodge through the Wrath of the Gods, and it's over. Backstab the Backstabber. Because it's easy, and it does a lot of damage. I dodge my way through No Man's Wharf, make friends with all the pirates around town, then meet our next target, Lucatiel.
I don't know you, and you don't know me. Things are better that way.
Sorry, love, but everyone knows death at some point or another. Lucatiel has a great sword that she swings with one hand, which would be super impressive if she could actually hit me with it. Unfortunately for her though, she's just a bit too slow. And I'm using the Scythe, so that's saying something. Oh hey look, another NPC. Man, there's a lot of you in this game.
I am Hyrule, and I've no interest in the magic impaired. You lost your head.
No, but you're about to. Now, credit where credit is due. Carhillion can hit hard if you aren't paying attention. That soul spear is no joke, and the little homing soul balls he shoots are a pain to dodge as well. But get him off balance, and he's just another glass cannon mage. Uh-oh, looks like someone forgot to prepare water breathing today. Up next is the Flexile Sentry. Nothing to talk about here. Just dodge your attacks, keep up the pressure, and do as much damage as you can before the water in the arena gets too high. Moving on, I ride a ghost ship into the night, getting flashbacks to Ocarina of Time and a sudden realization that I still need to beat Majora's Mask without a sword, then change complete directions and decide to hightail it back to the Huntsman's Copse, all the way back to the Executioner's Chariot. This fight is an exercise in patience more than anything else. Just dodge past the chariot, murder the summoners along the way, then finish off any of the Tonys that are stubborn enough to still be unalive.
Did you see that? That chariot nearly cut me in half.
And once the chariot rider is killed, all that's left is little Sebastian. Again, not a whole lot to see here. Just dodge the breath attacks and hooves, and let your one-handed scythe do all the talking. Right, that should give the daycare kids enough glue for a while. Time for our prize, the Brotherhood of Blood. Ah, shit, I forgot the token. Well, that's an easy enough fix. I go buy the kitty cat ring from the kitty cat, then strip down to my skivvies to minimize damage and drop down into the Majula well. No, I don't understand why being naked does less fall damage, stop asking. Then, after falling what feels like forever, we can finally access a wooden chest near the bottom and collect our token of spite. From there, we can go back to the Brotherhood of Blood, and after giving them my token and describing in gratuitous detail how much I like blood, we can finally access their inventory. And there it is, the Great Scythe, ready and willing to serve. Now obviously, we've got a bit of catching up to do with this weapon, seeing as our current weapon is at +4 and has about 50 more damage. But the Great Scythe does have better scaling, so it shouldn't be too long before we're caught up. And sure enough, there you have it, Great Scythe +4, doing just about the same amount of damage that our sickle had. Unlike the sickle though, the Great Scythe's reach makes up for all the other Reaper class's shortcomings. Not only that, but because of the weapon's clear design, it's much easier to understand where exactly the sweet spot hitbox is, which means my damage output is generally higher as well. Which is great, because that means that bosses like the Royal Rat Vanguard are much easier to fight. And so we come to the King of the Rodents. Fun fact, the Rat King Covenant was my favorite covenant back in the day. Used it to get the achievement and everything.
Get thee gone. We will tolerate thy stench no longer.
What? Is this the thanks I get after my years of service? Oh hey, I didn't know you could walk. Or had attacking moves. Huh, learned something new today. Guess this covenant still had one thing to teach me. Well, no reason to stop ending covenant relations now. Time to give the Brotherhood of Blood what it craves most. Oh my god, is that a mini scythe? Can I have that? You cannot, in fact, have that. At least not one that size anyhow. Guess we'll have to wait until Dark Souls 3 for that one. You can buy the Scythe of Nar Alma from Nolentia if you want, but it does that thing that most of the Reapers in Dark Souls 2 do, and divides its damage between physical and dark. So that's a no-go for me this time around. I will, however, be grabbing Tichigren's chest piece, since it still grants me extra souls, but has better defense than the armor I'm wearing now. Oh, and the fashion souls. I can't forget the fashion souls. I'm told that spiders are very in right now in Drangleic. Right, where were we? Oh right, the Lost Bastille. I take down the Pursuer a few times and grab all the upgrade materials in the area, release the Ruined Sentinels from their service with relative ease, first try let's go, initially mess up the bomb puzzle, but use the power of momentum to force a solution, have a chuckle when I realize that Dark Souls still doesn't know the difference between halberds and scythes, then start carving my way through the gargoyles. Once again, my weapon speed is an issue here, which means finding openings and being patient is going to be the name of the game. And although it was a bit close, patience once again proves to be a solid virtue, and I clear the gargoyles on the first try. I take a short detour to free Strayed from his stony prison, for reasons that will become clear later, then arrive at my final destination for this particular piece of the journey, the Lost Sinner. And, yeah, not a whole lot to see here. Dodge her big attacks, retaliate in kind. I got a bit greedy and tended to try to string together more attacks than I should have, but in the end, she was just another first try boss. Another soul, added to my growing collection. Moving on, I head back to the Huntsman's Copse for the last time, where we find Creighton hiding amongst the bones.
You've set me free. Now I can find him.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about the man with the strange ring, my friend. Death already found him. Now let me free you properly. I'd comment on Creighton's fighting style, but, he's already dead. I mean, it looked like he had the Dragon Slayer's Crescent Axe, so that's cool, I guess. Anyway, on to the Skeleton Lords.
There can only be one Highlander.
Well, this is looking to be another one-try boss. The Skeleton Hordes just can't handle the damage output. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm just surprised is all. Changing over to a Reaper that had a clearer hitbox really is making the difference. Alright, what's next? I find Cloanne, who sells upgrade materials throughout the game, send her to Majula so I can find her more easily when her time eventually comes, clamber my way through the mines and into Earthen Peak, then arrive at the most important boss of this entire run, the Covetous Demon. That's not a string of words I ever thought I'd say out loud. Big Boy here does his best to convince me that I should be playing Pikmin right now instead of Dark Souls, and while his logic is sound and his offer tempting, my new favorite series will just have to wait, because Covetous just gave us the greatest gift of all. I run back to Strayed, whose sole purpose in this run can now be fulfilled. The Mock Gesture. Nah, just kidding. We're actually here for the Bone Scythe, a boss weapon crafted from the Covetous Demon's soul. Do you notice anything interesting about it? Yup, it's a purely physical scythe with ace scaling right from the word go. The moveset is nothing to get too excited about, since it's the same as the Great Scythe, but that scaling is really doing some work, with our damage already at 238 without a single upgrade. Now, there is one problem. Because this is a boss weapon, it requires petrified dragon bones to upgrade, rather than simple upgrade materials. But also because it's a boss weapon, it gains massive amounts of damage with each upgrade, since it can only be upgraded 5 times instead of the usual 10. It's not ready to outpace my Great Scythe, not yet, but one more upgrade should do the trick. Luckily for us, Mytha put up about as much fight as a wet paper towel, and with her defeat we now have access to everyone's favorite location, the Iron Keep. Hey look, it's the Welcoming Committee. I have a strange feeling that I'm going to be reloading this area a few times, so I decided to kill off the 2 invaders that always spawn in the beginning of the area, starting with Armorer Dennis. Funnily enough, I think Dennis and his counterpart, Fencer Sharon, put up more of a fight than the last 4 bosses combined. But that's pretty much par for the course with FromSoft games. I'm not sure if it's on purpose, or just because having a humanoid enemy with the same movesets as the player is just easier to program, but invaders have always been harder than any other boss in the series. Just something I've noticed over the years. Not sure if that's just a me thing, or if the community at large feels that way too. I bump into Magarold, merchant of things and seller of stuff, and I ask him the important question that all living souls should ask themselves on a regular basis.
Do I enjoy what I do? That's a good question. I suppose I must. I've been doing it for ages.
You suppose, huh? Well then, I suppose you must be ready to die, since you've been doing that for ages too. Even your weapon is confused about its identity and purpose. One does not simply do a thing because they've been doing it forever, Magarold. Purpose is an invaluable thing. And you just lost yours. Speaking of purpose, let's talk about why we're here. To progress to the next boss, yes, but also to collect something very important. Seething Frustration. But also, if we actually remember how gravity works, some petrified dragon bones. There are 2 that can be found before the Smelter Demon, which means we can now upgrade our Bone Scythe to +2. Good thing too, because up next is the Smelter Demon himself. Thankfully, I've fought this boss enough times to know his timing, and can beat him without difficulty at this point, no matter the weapon, since this fight is more about stamina and health management than anything else. Another easy first try boss. Huh, that's weird. My weapon durability looks a little lower than it should be. I'm sure it's nothing. I reload the arena and kill the pursuer when it spawns in, getting myself the Ring of Blades +1, carefully navigate the lava bucket to grab the covetous gold serpent ring for one particular part of the game later on, then push through the rest of the Iron Keep until we reach the boss, the old Iron King. Would you believe that he's easy? Would you believe that he died on the first try? Well, you should, because he is, and he did. Another great soul sent across the river Styx. 2 down, 2 to go. I level up my strength to its soft cap, which means increasing my damage is now completely reliant on getting more petrified dragon bones, then head over to say hello to Gilligan.
Hi. Who are you?
Now, you know who I am. Don't play dumb.
All right. What do you want?
What did I just say? A life gem? You know those are made out of human souls, don't you? Which means you just made the mistake of stealing a soul right in front of me. Guess I'll just steal yours then. Right, that was a fun distraction, but it's time for the next great soul, the Rotten. Needless to say, another easy boss. I've got all the adaptability and iframes I need at this point to dodge through anything the base game can throw at me. And just as the fight starts, it's already over, and the Rotten is sent back to the stinking earth that birthed it. Another great soul acquired, one more to go. But before that, we have several wayward souls to collect, starting with Benhart.
Have you business with me?
Why yes, yes I do.
I, Bernhardt, will be honored to chop you to pieces.
With what, that false sword you're holding? Sorry Chief, but even the true Moonlight Greatsword can't kill death, let alone that knockoff you're wielding. Up next is Rosabeth. I free her from her stone prison, then begin to slowly free her from this plane of existence. She's got at least 3 pyromancy spells, Fireball, Bigger Fireball, and Combustion, but outside of catching me off guard when she attacked me with 1 HP in a dream, she wasn't exactly a challenge. I head into the Shaded Woods, grab the Chloranthy Ring +1 for better stamina regeneration, then find our next sorry soul.
You may call me Vengal, if I deserve a name in this sorry state.
Don't worry, friend. I'm here to remedy that. Finally, someone who accepts their fate. The running, crying, and begging gets kinda monotonous sometimes, you know? Good to finally meet someone ready for the end.
Life.
That it does, Vengarl. That it does. I fight my way through the remainder of the Shaded Woods, grabbing some petrified dragon bones as I go, decimate Notchka with absolutely nothing of note happening throughout the entire fight, poke my way through the doors of Pharos for even more bones, then upgrade my Scythe to +3. And just in time, because up next is the Royal Rat Authority, a boss that has no right being as frustratingly difficult as it is. Of course, it's not the boss itself that's hard, it's the frickin' rat dogs. Even on my best attempt, I still got hit with Toxic. Cool, great start. Thankfully, the fight becomes a lot easier after the minions are dead. Simply take your time and avoid the temptation to swing more than once, and it's over. And there you go, Doggo down, and Rat Covenant officially wiped off the face of the earth. I slap around the congregation in prowling Magoo, and after a slight tremor of panic ran its course when I randomly remembered the immolation run, it's another GG easy first try. Man, Magoo, Dark Souls really did you dirty. You've got 0 lore to your name, and some would argue you don't even have a boss fight. Oh, hey Cromwell.
Something seems to be bothering you.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just that despite the fact this world is crumbling and the end is just on the horizon, so many of the souls I've collected seem like they still want to hang on, despite the suffering, all the way to the bitter end. You're a man of the cloth. Is what I'm doing wrong? Huh. I guess not. Thank you, Padre. No hard feelings, yeah?
Whenever you are ready.
Oh hey, Cromwell had a great scythe. Nice choice of weapon, my guy. Always good to meet a fellow Reaper fan. In any case, time to push on to the last great soul we need. The Duke's dear Freya and her brood. Nothing to say here either. The mobs go down in 1 or 2 hits, and Freya herself is a joke of a boss when you get her on her own. And there you go. 4 great souls collected. Time to wrap up the base game. I break into Dranglake Castle, attempt to kill the ghost guarding its entryway, which goes about as well as you would expect, grab a few upgrade materials as I run through the stone hallways, then take on not 1, but 2 Dragon Riders. Gravity can't save me now. But, my weapon of choice sure can. Jesus, that damage. Well, that's 1 rider down. This boss fight really is trivial if you force the ranged boss down to your level. No dragons to ride, forced by a majority of players to engage in friendly fire, can't swim. The Dragon Riders truly are the most tragic boss of Dark Souls 2. Changed my mind. And then there's this fucking thing. Why? Why did you do this, Dark Souls 2? Why did you do this? Anyway, back to things that make more sense. Like a giant metallic knight who can summon invaders through a magic mirror and can manipulate lightning. Yeah, that's much better. You know, this has never happened before, but I actually killed the Looking Glass Knight before he could even summon a friend from the mirror. I think the Bone Scythe might be a bit busted. Before we can push forward though, there's one last petrified dragon bone in the castle, which I quickly grab from this mimic here, which lets me upgrade my scythe to +4. Almost there now, just a few more pieces. I dip and dodge my way through the Shrine of Amana, making sure to free the Milfanito as I go, then give Grandma Frog a quick thrashing. Sorry Grandma, but rules are Ah! Wait! Put me down! Put me down! Embarrassing goof up aside, it's an easy boss. And with her defeat, we also gain access to the Key of the Embedded, which is just such a weird idea. Like, yeah, here's this strong greatsword that you can't upgrade, and you also lose it if you complete its questline. Cool idea on paper, but big, why does this even exist energy in practice? But more on that later. For now, let's go get all of our prizes from Tark. Or rather, the only one we care about, which is the second dragon ring. Tark is no further use after giving me the ring though, so it's time to end his suffering. He has a pretty interesting moveset, considering he's only one of 2 scorpion enemies in the game. He's got his pincers, which he uses for pinching and rushing at you, and his halberd, which he uses poorly, if at all. Interesting fight, but not particularly challenging. We end his suffering all the same. Hey Dark Souls, why'd you do this? You know these don't stack, right? I head back to the embedded, feed him an entire sword key, because why not? Then talk this Milfinito to death. I'm not sure if I should be impressed with myself or embarrassed. Anyway, on to the Undead Crypt.
Do as you please.
Why thank you, Agdane. I think I will. Agdane has an obsidian-looking greatsword and quite a few magic attacks, some of which I've never actually seen before. Like this one here. What is this? I've played around with dark magic before and I don't remember this one. Guess we'll never know until we do a dark magic only run. So, 5 years from now. But until then, we've got a Scythe to swing. Time for the Royal Aegis. Not a whole lot to say here, sadly. Swing until he buffs up, wait patiently for him to finish his prayers, then swing until he dies. Bang bang boom. But good news! With Velstat's less than spectacular death, Cloanne now has new stock. Give you 3 guesses which one I'm excited about, and the first 2 don't count. And with that, the Bone Scythe is maxed out. 325 damage before scaling. Doesn't get any better than that. And with my weapon of choice upgraded to max level, there's no reason to keep the last 2 Vagabonds of Majula around. Sadly, Cloanne doesn't have any attacks of any kind, which is a bit disappointing, but the blacksmith does. Is that an entire tree trunk? Well, alright then. Not the weapon I was expecting him to use, but who am I to judge? Moving right along, forward into Aldea's Keep, where a very strange NPC is hiding in a corner.
Please, just stay away.
Navlan, you misunderstand. I'm here to help you. Fun fact, Navlan has some sort of curse or something going on. At first he sounds normal when you hit him, but eventually Mr. Hyde comes out to play. This is a pretty neat fight. He's got a few cool magic tricks, and he cackles the entire time he's fighting. It's just a shame he's not very strong for this point in the game. Come to think of it, a lot of the enemies seem to be a bit underwhelming. The Guardian Dragon takes no time at all to cut down, and the Ancient Dragon, boring as ever, is weirdly doable with the Bone Scythe. Another one and done. I was not expecting that for this run. What was once a battle to even get basic damage against the mobs placed around the map has very quickly turned into a montage of first attempt, only attempt bosses. I finished up the last of the giant memories, finding Drummond lying down on the job, and eventually convince him to get up and fight for the right to live. I mean, that was my offer, but come on, the guy looks like Sean Bean. We all knew how this was going to end. But with the memories cleared, it's about time we jumped out of the base game and into the DLCs. If ever there was going to be a difficulty spike, it'll be here. And sure enough, Dark Souls is happy to oblige. My weapon does plenty of damage, so that's not an issue, but the enemies in Alana's arena are numerous, and believe it or not, the Scythe's slow movement is not exactly great at working around a bullet hell boss fight. I don't know what it is about this boss, but she's always a brick wall for me, at least on the first few attempts. So, after getting my ass handed to me several times on a calcified platter, I took a quick break, came back to the run after a day or 2 of recharging my patience, and tried again. And wouldn't you know it, that's all it took. I swear, putting the game down for a night should be the go-to advice on every forum when it comes to the Dark Souls series. You'd be amazed how often that strategy works. Next up is Sin, the Slumbering Dragon. Easy fight, nothing to worry about. Is what I would say if it weren't for Sin's special ability. Every hit you make against the Emerald Dragon here does extra durability damage. And good God do I mean extra. I went back to Drangleic Castle to buy the Bracing Knuckle Ring +1, which will make my weapon take 35% less durability damage. But, yeah, not super helpful. Here's my question though. What gives? I mean, yeah, this weapon only has 40 durability, but that's still 40 durability with the Bracing Knuckle Ring. There's no reason it should be breaking this quickly. Well, turns out the problem is threefold. The first problem is obviously Sin himself. Allegedly, every strike against his body does double durability damage against your weapons. Some players swear that this only applies to his body, not his head, but that sounds like forum hearsay to me. The second problem is that I'm playing on PC, and because PC Master Race gets higher frames per second, every single weapon in the game actually loses durability faster. Because in their infinite wisdom, FromSoft decided durability should be tied to your frame rate, which means every time I play Dark Souls 2, I'm being punished for not playing on console. Thank you, Dark Souls. And third, and this is just forum hearsay, but allegedly certain weapon types glitch out when triggering Sin's durability mechanic. Namely halberds, reapers, and ultra greatswords. Completely unrelated, guess which weapons have the sweet spot mechanic and attack at a large sweeping arc? So yeah, Sin is officially going to be a problem for this build, because no matter how you slice it, we're going to be running low on durability. is what I would say if I didn't have the biggest gamer brain this side of the Mississippi River. I just packed the Great Scythe and used that for the last half of the fight. There's also repair powders, which give your weapon a good chunk of its durability back as well. So all of my complaining is kind of moot at this point. But if you're like me and you weren't expecting it, the durability problem is a pretty nasty surprise. I level up a few stats before pressing on, and is that a grave? Oh wow, it is. I completely forgot about this mechanic. As a bit of a safety net, Dark Souls 2 lets you spend souls to summon ghosts of most of the NPCs. You can only summon certain ones, and even then you can only summon them where you killed them. So if you don't finish their quest lines before finishing them, you'll never get their full inventories. Interesting mechanic, albeit strange, especially considering how little the rest of the Souls series cares about forgiving you for killing their NPCs. Anyway, one more boss to go in the Poison DLC, the Gank Squad. Sarah is our obvious first target, since he's the ranged DPS of the party and has the least health, but this fight got very weird very quickly. First off, while attempting to fight Sarah in the pool, Varg nearly killed him by falling on him. I had no idea they could even hurt each other, but there you go, video evidence. On top of this, the grave robber decided to go fully hollow and just sat there. I'm not sure what happened, but she decided that standing on the causeway and staring off into the void was a better use of her time than fighting me. But I know better than to look a gift horse in the mouth. We'll take whatever advantage we can get. Down goes Sarah, followed immediately by Varg when he decided that turtling was the right strategy against a weapon that can go around shields. After that, I woke up the grave robber with a soft love tap to the back, which fixed her AI and got her moving again. Unfortunately for her, it was too little too late. And just like that, the Poison DLC is complete. On to the Iron Throne DLC. Hoo boy, can't wait. This DLC has some very tanky bosses, all of which hit like trucks when they connect. And with the Scythe's move speed being what it is, I had to take drastic measures. Behold, my ultimate form. All will tremble in fear at the sight of death rushing them in the nude. Seriously though, I don't know why it works, but every single Souls game is like this. Take off your armor, and you suddenly feel like God. I'm sure there's someone out there who's done all the math and figured out exactly how much stamina regen and iframes you get from being naked as opposed to being armored up, but all I know is that when I strip down in Dark Souls, I win. And that's the only statistic I need to know. And with this new quote-unquote strategy in hand, Sir Alan goes down in short order, with the Smelter Demon 2.0 following right after. And just like that, that's the second DLC complete. One more to go.
Turn back. The old chaos hungers still.
You know, maybe we shouldn't go here. After all, we don't want to disturb the old Wait, did she say Aleum? Oh god, have I been saying it wrong this entire time? Well, that's embarrassing. Guess we have to kill everyone now. No witnesses and all that. Starting with Ava, the king's pet. This shouldn't take long. Ava is pretty quick for her size, but my final form is too fast for her attacks and— What? Bone Scythe at risk? The hell are you talking about? That wasn't a fluke either. I reloaded the fight and tried again, with the exact same results. For reasons I can't understand, Ava has the same durability problem that Sin does, despite not intentionally having Sin's durability mechanic. In fact, the durability problem appears to be even worse than Sin's fight. I swapped to the Great Scythe and still only made it about 2/3 of the way through Ava's health bar before needing to swap weapons again. Utterly ridiculous. Best Souls, no contest, don't at me. But with Ava defeated, we now have access to the rest of the DLC, which means we can now go to our favorite area of the entire game. Y'all like reindeer? Sure you do, everybody loves reindeer. After definitely only a single attempt and not several agonizing failures, we've arrived at Lud and Zalin. Thankfully, because there's two of them, they have less health, which means we can make quick work of this boss if we play our hand right. And by the time the other cat makes its way into the arena, we've got— oh, for the love of Gwyn! Well, good thing I learn from my mistakes sometimes. I had a feeling something like this would happen, so I packed some repair powder. And with only minimal screaming, Lud finally goes down. One more cat to go. This poor scythe of mine is really taking a bruising from this fight, but the repair powder animation is so short that I can squeeze it in mid-fight without too much issue. And everything was looking great, until Zalin decided to buff up and regenerate HP. No, cool, that's fine, I have more repair powders, this is fine. But after more dipping and dodging than I ever care to do again, it's over. No more cats, and only one more boss remaining in the Ivory King DLC. Into hell, into the old chaos. We dive, so humanity survives. Victory or death. Preferably victory, though. You know, I think this is the first time in years that I've actually been able to play this fight with a normal weapon. That's a weird thought. Finally, I do the damage that I deserve. Why can't I backstab? Why can't I backstab, game? Where's my backstab? Well, dang it, there goes that strategy. No cheese for me. The only path to victory is lactose-free and skill-based. Bleh. But after battling against the Burnt Ivory Knights in a fight that seemed a bit harder than it should have been, it's time for the Ivory King himself. Hello there. And you know what? Somewhere between this challenge run and the last, it's finally clicked. The Ivory King, the bane of my existence for so long, is finally just as doable as any other boss. No longer will that left-hand moveset catch me off guard. Turns out, when push comes to shove, he's just like all the rest. And like all the rest, he falls. Victory achieved. Liberty speed your step, Helldiver. And with the Burnt Ivory King's power added to my own, that's the final DLC cleared. Time for the final stretch. I visit Vendrick in his undead tomb, delivering the death he's been waiting for so long, and with my build completed and all of the giant souls collected, it's a fight that's barely worth mentioning. After that, I find the Pilgrims of Dark, who seem sympathetic to my cause.
If you seek true dark, I will grant it to you, as much as you desire.
That's good to hear, because I'm only seeking one. And after delving into the abyss several times, I finally find him, the Dark Lurker, the only boss in this game that gives off better death vibes than I do. The first phase is easy enough. The Dark Lurker has about 4 different attacks, all of which are easily dodged so long as you're paying attention. But do enough damage, and I'll enter phase 2, where moves that were previously easy to counter are now difficult due to the sheer number of attacks on screen. Suddenly, the fight is less about wailing on a boss, and more about finding the right time to strike. And depending on your luck, this might be no easy task. Fortunately for me, my luck holds strong, and despite one last desperate attempt to take me with him, the Dark Lurker dies alone in the dark.
I knew that you were special. There is more dark within you than even you know. A deep, deep dark it is. The dark that we must all face. May the dark shine your way.
I got bad news for you, old man. The dark is hungry.
Young undead, do you expect me to just keel over?
I mean, would you? It would save me a lot of time and effort, and I'll be honest, this video is going on pretty long as it is. Sorry, Grendel. You worshiped the dark for so long that you forgot what it's like to fear it. You and so many others. But don't worry, I'll remind them. I'll remind them all. With the pilgrims destroyed, it's time to wrap up. I go after the Bellkeepers, who try to appease me by mentioning the Firebomb Academy. It doesn't do them much good. Then, satisfied that I no longer require the services of a blacksmith, I attack Bugdom. Really? Again with the giant log? No, dude, I'm just confused. Why a log? What happened to using good old-fashioned blacksmith hammers? Moving on, time for Strayed. This fucking guy. Strayed is an interesting fight. He's got some strong magic attacks, and has more health than you'd expect. Makes sense, I suppose, considering he's framped in a human suit. Next up is one of my favorite NPCs in the game. This one's gonna be hard.
Who are you? I, Gavlan. Gavlan will, Gavlan deal. What you want? You go home?
Sure, buddy. We both go home.
You strong.
Well, thank you for noticing. I've actually been working. Where did you get those from? Well, you had a good run. Goodbye, Gavlan. May your wheels and deals be forever plentiful on the other side. And with the last Milfinito in the Shrine of Amana cut down, all we have to do is free this hollow from his stony prison, climb up this hidden tower, and then we can... So, turns out you can only enter the Rise of the Dead if you are 1, hollow, and 2, haven't killed the other Milfinito. Which is a shame, because there's one last Milfinito beyond that door. Ah well, I guess she can act as a witness to what's happened here today, and can sing to the dead until time itself comes to a grinding halt. And she won't be alone. She'll have Shelquar to keep her company.
Oh, spare me, please.
You know, I really don't appreciate your sarcasm. But yeah, this cat doesn't care how much mortal danger you put it in. C'est la vie. At least Exposition Grandma gets the rest she deserves. Alright, now you're just making it weird. Unfortunately, we've got one final task left before we can hunt down the final bosses at the end of the game. Remember that golden serpent ring we found? It's finally coming to good use. After defeating the Ivory King, you can actually dive back down into the old chaos in an attempt to free the Burnt Ivory Knights from their hell. They mostly drop their equipment, but every now and again, you'll pick up a Lois soul. Reload the area, and you can do it over and over again. And you'll need to, because if you want to physically reach the Ivory Queen at the top of the stairs, you'll need not 1, not 2, but 50 friggin' souls! And so, after a good hour or 2 of grinding, we've finally done it. Alsana, the Silent Oracle, just within melee range. Oh sure, we could have shot her with a bow and called it good, But if we're going to be the death of this world, we may as well do it right. And with that, there's one last bit of fire to extinguish. Goodbye, firekeepers of old. Time to cross over. Excuse me?
What are you doing?
What does it look like? The better question is, what are you doing with that spoon? You know what? No. Now you have to watch. You have to watch me kill every firekeeper you swore to protect. I will grant you one thing, Millibeth. You are brave. But being brave and being alive tend to be mutually exclusive things when confronted by an unstoppable force. Remember that. And so, with that last bit of business taken care of, it's time for the final stretch. 4 more targets remain. The first of our targets is right here past the king's door. Shanalot, our firekeeper. Abomination. Born of the dragon, she was no true keeper of the sacred flame. Just another foolish attempt of men to obtain power that was never theirs. Next, the Throne Watcher and Throne Defender. They may be quick, and when they attack as a pair, it makes them difficult to fend off. But with the proper positioning, the Scythe's sweet spot does massive damage to the both of them, making this another easy fight. After that is Nashandra, Grim Reaper wannabe and Queen of Dranglake. Her attacks aren't terribly strong, but they do have some strange timings, and each hit builds your curse bar, reducing your maximum health when triggered. I knew I should have kept my clothes off. I got cursed several times, and it got a little hairy there for a second, but my greed paid off in the end, leaving just one more boss to go. Aldia, the Scholar of the First Sin. I wish I could weave a story about a final epic battle, but, well, you've got eyes. Wait for Aldia to warp, dodge his initial attack, rush back at him and get off as many swings as possible, then retreat until it's safe to attack again. I opted to attack with the single hand moveset since the damage was decent and the stamina cost was lower, which let me get off more swings before Aldia could recast his fire shield. And with one final swing of the Reaper, that's all she wrote. Dark Souls 2, with all of its bosses and nearly all of its NPCs, defeated with only Reapers. Man, what a ride. I swear, this run had more ups and downs than a wooden roller coaster. Just goes to show, something that looks powerful on paper doesn't always mean it's powerful in practice. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this run as much as I did, and who knows, maybe you saw a new line of dialogue or learned a thing or two along the way. But with nearly every soul in Dranglake absorbed, this land can finally rest, and the flame, so stubbornly resistant, can finally extinguish. Only one more game to go. Take care of yourselves, be good to one another, and I'll see you all again soon.